Darren's wondering, Michael, do you write the listings yourself? Actually, no, but I touch them up. Here's the process. Boy, I wish I had the list. I once made a list of this somewhere. Every listing goes through about 16 stages at Taxi. We do outreach to people. Hey, what do you need this week? They respond. A lot of people just send us stuff anyway, or we get new clients that find the website or hear about us word of mouth. Can I run a listing? Can you find me music? We have to go through the vetting process with them. Then they work with Tom, Isaac, and Eric. Those three guys are the A&R staff. And also Angela, who's the head screener and is awesome. And those guys get the emails or phone calls from people saying specifically what they need. Then they figure out, okay, when do you need it by? So they look at the scheduling of it. When should we publish the listing so that you guys get it? How long should we run it for? What day of the week should it end on? Because we've got to look at the timeliness and availability, anticipated availability. We never know screeners' absolute availability till like a week before. But we know, who's generally pretty available, so we look at that, and we have to line up their expertise, which genres they're good at, and how quickly or not they work, and how good are their critiques or not. Not that we've got anybody who writes weak critiques, but some people, if we have something that is a particularly unusual listing or something that would require maybe more detail on the feedback. For instance, right now, I just got an email last night from Tom about what do you think about us using these two screeners on the Taxi post-pandemic commercial listings that are out there now. So all those things go into the decision before you guys ever see the listing. And then Isaac will take that information from the email or bullet points that they take over the phone, but most of the time it's in email form, from the person who wants us to find them the music. He drafts it up. He sits about 5, 6, 7 feet away from Tom. The three of them, including Eric, will debate back and forth. You think this is a good reference here? Let me play you that. So there's a lot of interaction between the three of them as Isaac is writing the listing. Then once Isaac writes the listing, Tom will go through it looking for, well, that doesn't make sense, or this doesn't add up, or maybe that reference isn't as good as we thought because it doesn't really sound like the other ones if you needed 3 references that were all kind of the same versus showing a range. So all this stuff goes into it. Really pretty complex, actually. Then once they do it, and I believe Eric gets in on proofing them as well, then they send me an email. An email is actually auto-generated by the database saying, hey, Michael Lasko, you've got listings to check. And I pop it open and I go through what they wrote, and I look at stuff like, does that roll off the tongue? Is it easy for somebody who's relatively new at this to understand it? Because sometimes they'll write stuff that's a little shorthandy, like our more experienced or sophisticated members go, oh, yeah, I know what that means. Sometimes maybe that's what I bring to the listings, is making them accessible to newbies as well as veterans without insulting the veterans and without making them like childish, I guess, for the newbies. So yeah, I kind of feel like what I bring to the listings is editorial and almost marketing. Like sometimes see a listing. Have you noticed lately we've started adding the word lots or several, or they need a ton of something? I've got to say, we made a huge mistake for many years. There were many, I mean, literally hundreds, probably thousands of listings where people were looking for quite a bit of something. They maybe needed 10 or 20 of a certain genre for their library, especially newer libraries that are building up certain genres, or libraries that are cleaning out an old genre and, need to freshen up with a bunch of stuff sounds more current, more contemporary. We never told you guys that. I don't know why it never crossed our minds, but, I'm afraid that people looked at the listings and went, a lot of people are going to submit to that. They're only going to pick 1 or 2. I'm never going to make it through, so I'm not going to submit. so we just started adding, telling the truth, saying lots of these are needed or several of them are needed. And I think that the members enjoy that. And we've also started running listings for companies that want batches of stuff, where they would love to find taxi members that could provide them 5 to 10 of the same genre, and just sign that stuff with only a few, little suggestions on how to clean it up or fix it, blah, blah, blah. And so it goes through me, then it goes to Bria and Ariana, and they then put it into HTML email form, and they proof it one more time because, even though it's already been through 3, if not 4 people, we always find typos. We don't worry so much about grammar at Taxi. In particular, tend to write in a very conversational way. I'm sure that every English teacher I ever had would probably just roll their eyes, if not jump off a tall building, if they saw the way that I write. But I try to write it to make it feel accessible and conversational, like who I am and how we talk to each other. So it goes through me, then it goes to the ladies. They double check and find things like, oh, you forgot to give it a subject line, or there's a typo in the subject line, all those things.